Welcome to the third and last video of this series on the backend development. I am Eric Darchy from Blue Square. We are first going to look at the batch scheduling with AP Scheduler for regular tasks and Celery that is used for the mutation mostly and for any asynchronous tasks that you might have. We'll then be looking at the report generation and customization. So let's head to the main module, go to the OpenMS, then OpenMS again, and open the settings file. Settings files, in this case around the line 200. We have the first section that is interesting for us. It's the Celery broker URL. This address gives the RabbitMQ address to contact to schedule asynchronous jobs, mostly like the mutations or other jobs that you would run and right away and just not wait for the completion. The next parts are for the AP scheduler. So we'll see that we have Django AP scheduler. So these configurations for the job store and the method for the thread pool, these are just send you to the configuration of the Django and the AP scheduler to see how they work. We have the auto start that will say we're going to start this scheduler into our system. So in this case, we'll leave it like this. We'll change it later. We have jobs. So the scheduler jobs are really running specific methods to run on this one. So we have, for example, here the core OpenMS batch, and it's run as a cron. We have the parameters that are the OpenMS test batch at 16 minutes, every hour on 16 minutes, and we replace the existing jobs. We have other jobs that are possible for here. And so this one is a sample, but this one is the real job that needs a configuration. And we have also the scheduler custom, because sometimes you want to make a job that is a bit more complex than just a cron job that is executed on a fixed time. So let's take a look at this job. So here I have it selected. I can just double or triple tap on the shift key, and I see that we have this method that is here in the core. And this method is just a simple batch. And we have also right below the other part. So if I come from the settings, we have the scheduler custom. So we have a method that is going to do the scheduling. We have a parameter scheduler, and you can just do an add job, and we could just schedule the job from here. So if I could say here, I have the OpenMS test batch. I have this, what it would be any name, and within these minutes. And this is corresponding to the parameters that we have found in the settings file. Why is this in scheduler auto start false by default? The reason, you could just switch this to true, but there's an issue if you're running in the running the tests or running in certain environments. You might be just running this auto start anyway. So we can leave this false, and since it's taken from the scheduler auto start, I can just do the edit configurations in this case, and just add auto start. So let's configure it for some minutes. So if I know that it's going to start at 3, just run my environment, and I can put a breakpoint onto this task. And then I just wait. And we can see it just went to 3 minutes, and we triggered the sample batch. However, in a real environment, we should not run like we are doing here. For a development environment, it is fine to just start the scheduling from the server here. But it's actually better to have a dedicated server for that, a dedicated instance. To do that, we are going to duplicate this configuration, and we're going to go run AP scheduler. Just replace this, and I can just run this. I first have to rerun my server. I'm going to update the settings so that it starts on the next minute. It's 6 now. And if I run my AP scheduler and wait for the 6 minutes. The next wake up is here. And we have the trigger, and we can see the trigger was in run AP scheduler and not the run server. But this is how you can really dedicate one instance for this batch processing. Now from our sample, we can see that there is a shared task annotation. This is only needed if you want to run it from Celery. If you want to run it from AP scheduler, you don't need to declare anything over there. To create our own method, we're going to go back to our video. Just create the new tasks.py. And since we're going to have just a simple method, we're going to do video processing. I'm going to generate thumbnails or anything else. So we can just say for video in video.objects.all, there are not so many. And we need to import this. And then we're going to do a notification in this case so that it's visual that we're doing something. So here I'm going to call a notification script, and that one is going to use the video name. Just import this process. Okay. And we're going to put a breakpoint over there. See it's happening. If I just do this, nothing is going to happen, of course. I need to configure it. So this one is in, I'm going to create a new job scheduling. Just copy this one. It's not in the core, it's in the video dot tasks dot video processing. We have a cron, we're going to call it video processing. And we have the minutes, and the minute is going to be 19. But if I do this, nothing is going to happen because this configuration is going to be reloaded by the server itself, for the Marin server, as we can see. But it's not going to be reloaded automatically by the AP scheduler. You need to really restart it like this. So we have here the call that has been done to our method. And we see that it's still in the process from the run AP scheduler. And if I just let it run, I have this notification with test1, the new look, and that's it. This is how you run a very long script or batch processing that you can do here from the AP scheduler. This is quite an easy task. So if I just have this scheduled like this, now that we had our execution, we can go back to the Django administration, and we can see that we have now new sections here in the Django job executions. And we see that we have had one execution of the video processing that has been run just now. You see the duration of the job in 22 seconds and when exactly it finished. And there was no exception, and that's just executed. You have also the Django jobs here that are defined. So we have the video processing as done here. It is important to note that you should not pass any parameter that is not just a serializable basic type. Since you're scheduling into a different system that is going to be stored in a database or sent to over the network, you cannot pass just a simple instance of an object to the batch. You really need to pass elemental information. Let's talk about Celery now. Celery is used only to schedule asynchronous tasks, immediate execution or just near immediate execution. And this is configured in this place. So you just have the address to send the scheduled tasks. If you can check in the core, in the tasks, you can see that there is an additional shared task, this OpenMS mutation async. You can see that there are a few important elements. You should always pass the parameters as an ID or an elemental type. You cannot just pass the mutation log. So in this case, we're just passing the ID, mutation ID, and we're reloading that from the database. You should always also handle the exceptions. In this case, we're just rising it back again so that the scheduler can know that the task failed. But you really need to make a log over here so that you know that something went wrong and have all the details you need. Now, how do you use this Celery task? If you look at the OpenEMIS mutation, you go to the core schema, you can see that the OpenEMIS mutation has an async, if it's an async mutation, it's going to call this method with .delay and just pass the parameters normally. That's all that is needed to call this method asynchronously. This is going to be returning immediately and just do the execution. Go to GitHub and check the dist docker. We can see the definition of the Docker compose. That's going to describe all the services that can be run. So the backend is the one that we just ran, and we have the parameters that are defined here. So in this case, we can override the Celery broker URL. In this case, we're going to change it to RabbitMQ, and RabbitMQ is one of the servers that is running from here. And we have also, since this is just a queuing system, we have also the worker, that is going to be this one, and it's running the same script of to start the system. It's just going to say that it's going to start the worker. This will just be listening for the execution. So that we can see that it's starting a worker command. The worker command, it's all from since we are building from the same environment as the previous one, so the same container. We have the same definition as the backend. We are actually using the entry point that's defined in the Docker file from the backend. We have an entry point.sh. The script allows you to start with just a command, any of these elements. So in this case, we're running worker, and the worker is running this exact command. So if I want to run this from the configurations here, I need to go there to the Python. I'm going to copy it. If you have the PyCharm Pro version, you will have these Django servers here, but it's a real pure Python in this case. So I'm going to say Celery worker. In this case, it's not then it's not the manage.py. We have to go back to our virtual environment, to the bin, and we'll have a Celery installed somewhere here. And then we have the parameters that we just selected from the rest. So important here, you also have to make sure that since I changed the script, it changed also the execution directory. So I have to get back here to the main one, to OpenEMIS, and just use that. If you encounter this problem when we run the Celery worker, it's because you're not running RabbitMQ. To run that, you can just go to the OpenEMIS dist docker repository. You can check it out. You will have a few dependencies like the front-end module and the gateway, and you can just then do a docker compose up RabbitMQ. When the server is running, you can go back to PyCharm and just run the service again. It is now running, so it will show you the various tasks that are available. There is the core task OpenEMIS mutation async. You have the OpenEMIS Celery debug task that we have seen that is doing just an ability to check what is deployed. You will also see that there is a warning of memory leak because you're doing the debug, but this is really in your development environment, so it's not really a problem. And that's it, you're running the Celery worker. Now that we have seen how to run batches, like the AP scheduler and the Celery, we're going to have a look at the reports. For report generation, we are using ReportBro. ReportBro has a number of demos that you can see here on their website. You can see how it can be generated with a list of elements or various fields. They are easily edited just by clicking and moving things and just defining variables that are defined here on the left. In order to use this, we have retrieved the album app and customized it a little bit so that we can use it into our own system. So if I take my sample report, here I have the video report, that's just the title, and we're going to have the name, the URL, the location, and this is going to be a table. I click on this table, I can see that we have here an element table that's called $videos. We have inside that we have the header, the content, and the content is going to be replaced like this. You can style everything as you see fit, just easily. So I have modified this application so that I can save the data here, and I can access this module and just get the report definition, and I can retrieve here the JSON that was generated by this application. This is just a helper because it's really quite straightforward structure, just like you see it. And we'll see now how we can use this system to create reports into the application. Let's create a report. We're going to create that in the video for the video. So we're going to go to the URLs of the videos, and we need to add a new path for the report. So we're going to give it the /report from the video, create a view that is going to do the report, and we're going to name it report. In the views, we need to create a view now. So I'll just paste a predefined one. So what we have here is we need a function. It could be a class-based view as well. We have a report that is going to get a request. We're going to check the authorization. So in this case, we recycled the query video perms, but we could have another permission there. We have the report service that is connecting to the report.services, report service from our modules. And we're going to create the data that we're going to send to this PDF template. And we're going to do the name of the process is going to be video report. So in the data that we're going to send the videos, the list of the videos. So in this case, we need a list for that. We cannot just pass directly the query set. We need to explicitly define the labels. In this, we're going to say that we want from v for v in video dot get query set. The get query set, we don't have a query set yet, so we're just going to say none. And I'm going to give the request.user. So it will allow me to have the authorization, only the data that's limited to this user. There's already a .all, so I can just use that. And the dictionary, we are going to have the video name. That's going to be v.video name. We're going to have the URL. That's going to be v.url, very simply. And we are going to have the location name. This is because the template is not going to be able to do location.name in this place, because they don't go through the sub-elements and so on. It has to be ready-made. So we're going to do a location name, and that is going to provide v.location.name. But if I do this, we have an error if the location is empty. So in this case, we're going to have a if v.location. Otherwise, we're just going to say none. Or just say unknown. And if you remember well, we might as well just say like this, so that we have translations. Let's put this here. This address, so we're going to go to /API/video/report. And we see it's coming to our root. So we can just check what is going to be generated. And we can see we have videos, and each time we have video name, URL, location name. So that's fine. It generated a PDF with the format I gave it. Now, you can see that I provided a template here. If you look at other examples, for example, if you go to the claim module, you will have in the claim, you have reports, and there is a specific module that has only the template in it, so that it doesn't put too much stuff into the view. But for this example, we're just going to leave it here. A nice thing that you have in in PyCharm is that if you just do the Alt-Enter to get the suggestion from this, so this works too, you have inject language of reference, because right now it knows that it's a string but doesn't know what. So I can just say that it's a JSON one. So you can see that I have syntax highlighting here. And something that is also very useful, so that if you have escaping to do and so on, you can do edit JSON fragment. This is going to split my screen, and this is really the JSON that I have to do, that I have here. So if I just update it here, you can see that it's updating on the top as well. So this is really useful. PDF file templates into the code, that's fine. It's a nice default, but the problem with these templates is that they tend to change. People want to have additional information, titles change, some details about the report have to change. So let's say that we want to have modified here, but we don't want to change into the code. So I can just take this JSON, I can restore it to the value it was there, so I can generate the report again. So we're going to switch to the Django admin, and we have here in the report section, we have the report definitions. You might need to enable it or just usually just put it into the database. And I'm going to add a report definition. Remember, we had the video report. This is report bro PDF. Here's my new definition. And I have here the video report modified. You could even say that this report is only valid in 2020 and I have another one for 2021. So that it's automatically updated with the right version. So I'm going to say here, save. I have my report definition now. And if I switch back to my video report generation, I'll just run it again. And I check the result, and I can see that it has been modified. It's with the modified title. So in this video, we have seen how we can run regular tasks with AP Scheduler, how they can be run within Django itself for the development environment or in its own process for the production. We have seen how we can run asynchronous tasks with Celery and how they can be run themselves on their own process. And we have seen how to create PDF reports with Report Bro. We have seen how the reports are made, how they can be created for your own application, and how you can override them with the database for country-specific customizations. Thank you for watching.